Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Take Time Out with Tre Mosley. I am your host, Tre Mosley. Why am I talking like this? I don't know. I've had a long day.
Yes, you
A
have.
long day. I've had a session that went for 4 hours, and now I am just here. But
Rolling it
this
out.
this ain't about me. Who it is about, we are going to show you. I'm still talking like that. Let's try again. Hey! But yeah, my guest, take a look at this.
Ahsoka, original series streaming August 23rd.
Time without humans. Please die and become sages.
Despicable Me 4. Trailer out now. Murder in the 21st. New series premieres Friday, September 29th at 10. Only on A&E. What's gonna burn? Everything. Ooh, that's cold. Critics and audiences can't stop talking about one of the best pictures of the year. Women talking is unlike any film you've seen before. Just one more inch. The toad blinks first. Meseroche's stylish films are anchored by their specificity. Real people, real questions, and real answers.
Got you! Riley! Stay still! Fun! Get lost!
And posted. And you thought the broodmother was the craziest thing you'd face here. Think again. Happier Than Ever, a love letter to Los Angeles. Original film streaming September 3rd, only on Disney+. Menace in her stare. Power in her fists. Purpose in her heart. Michaela Mayer would not be denied this moment.
Count me in.
Good deal. Just don't keep me waiting too long. Wouldn't want to miss our chance. If you're watching a story light years in the making on a screen this small, then you need to look beyond and experience it the way it was truly intended. Big. It does feel like you've reached your expiration date, sweet thing.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So much fun stuff. Oh yeah,
Voiceover
that end
with
one.
bite.
That's
Um,
exactly that last
yes,
one. It actually is. She's, vampire.
she is a vampire. Marie Westbrook is here, guys and gals.
Yay.
Um, Hello there,
Thank you
Marie.
for having me, Trey.
How
Hi.
has things been?
Things has been good. Things have been good. I mean, yeah, well, life, like I always feel like it's a balance between my work life and all the amazing things, and then my family life and my kids and that whole world. But you know, it's great.
Yes,
I
you
actually
you
love
know,
that I get to have both things.
and I find it interesting. Um, a lot of the folks that I talk to, um, there's always a work-life balance, be it work and the kids, or work and the spouse, or work and the spouse and the kids.
Yeah.
Uh, and you guys have a full house over there.
Oh yeah.
Um, I guess we can start off before I go to where I want to go. But since we're already talking about it, how do you do it?
By many days I asked myself the same question. When the other day I was on a meeting. Luckily, it wasn't anything, super serious. It wasn't a work thing, but in the background was the dogs were barking. Landon was screaming at me, my 5-year-old, from the shower, and Larson, my daughter, was playing the harmonica. So I thought I was on mute, and I said, "What's the problem?" Like, trying to talk so that he could hear me over the shower and the dogs and the harmonica. But I wasn't on mute.
Oh,
Luckily, everybody was cool. They were laughing. They were like, "Oh yeah, we get it. We've
they're
been
probably
there."
like, yeah. So for tomorrow, we're gonna.
Yeah,
Um, you're
yeah.
okay, Marie?
Yeah, there was a
Oh,
pause.
y'all heard that. I'm sorry.
I know, rookie mistake. So, I mean, it's definitely something where I've just tried it's been a work in progress, and I feel like I've gotten better about it, and something about this year, the change in the year, I mean, on this amazing winter break vacation, and it was so wonderful, and I felt so relaxed, and when I got back, I thought, "I am gonna try to do my best to really focus on my work when I'm focusing on my work, and then detach and be able to focus on the kids and, my husband and the dogs and the cats and all that life when I'm, outside of work so that I'm not
Yeah,
constantly because, doing what we do, we could do this all day. There's so many things I could be doing at all times.
yeah.
Yeah. So I've gotten better at it.
Well, that's
Not
good.
perfect.
Do you find that, or do you ever get those days where you're like, all right, you're on daddy duty, leave me alone for 3 hours? And not even VO related, just, I gotta go. I need to go do something and get away before I kill everybody in the house. So, you know what? You're good. I'm gone.
I mean, there's definitely been moments like that. But the great thing is Greg, my husband Greg, he's super good about if I do have somewhere to go. Or when I went to Costa Rica a couple weeks ago for a vacation, he's super cool and just, I got this. He wants me to go do those things. Or if I have a girls' night or something, he's really cool about it. So there's times where if I do say that, he's good. When the kids were babies, I think we both we both thought, "Oh my god, don't leave me alone with it. I can't do this by myself." But now things are a little better and we can handle it. Plus, he's gone for work all the time. So I feel I feel pretty good about saying, "Okay, you got this," when he's home.
Good job, Greg. Good
Yeah,
job.
you got this.
That's right. So let's rewind the clock a bit. And we on this here show, we like to talk about the before. We know
Mhm,
all the badass characters you played and the trailers and stuff that you've done, but we want to get to know Marie
mhm.
of yore. Uh, tell us about how you came into this business, or even before you came into this business. Most people I know were either in the theater, in radio, um, and then the layers of the onion started to peel and say, "Oh, voiceover! I'd never thought of that." And someone
Yep.
said, "Hey, you be good at it." What's your origin story? Were you into music? Were you into theater? Was this something you actively pursued, or the apple just went, "Hey, what was that? Oh, voiceover!" Like, how did it begin for you?
It was not even in it was not a blip on the radar. I'm from a super small town in Idaho, and I grew up with my parents were teachers, and I just sort of I was gonna be a teacher too, and I was a teacher. So, that was my life. I mean, obviously, I watched TV, I watched cartoons, but that wasn't even I never even thought about the fact that somebody's job is to be the voice of that. It just wasn't in my realm. Nobody I knew did anything like that, and this is pre-internet, so this is before you could sort of fathom that and see that people are doing these things. Um, so I went to school. I, started out in elementary education, but then, switched to secondary and graduated in physics and chemistry education. I worked at NASA Space Camp for a few months after college, which was super fun because as a kid, I desperately wanted to go to space camp. I wanted so badly. I watched Space Camp the movie. Have you seen it?
Guilty.
Yeah?
Yes.
I wanted so bad. It
I
was
wanted to go to
everything I
space
wanted.
camp.
Yeah. Did you go?
No, I did
Yeah.
not.
I didn't either.
But
And
I
and
wanted to.
there was a prize on I think it was Double Dare, I think that's the name of it was on
Yep,
Nickelodeon.
and you went to
You
space
could
camp.
go and so that was also another goal. My brother and I were gonna get on Double Dare and win that prize. We did never end up going, but when I became a space camp counselor, I got to go through the whole process as you would as a kid, and I got to go to space camp as, like, a
Wow.
21-year-old or something. Yeah, it was really fun. And then I worked there for a while, came back, taught school, and in the process, I got into acting. Somebody actually approached me about it. They actually approached me about modeling, which wasn't really like I'm 5'3", and also that just it wasn't totally my bag, but it's interesting only because it got me into even to think about acting being something to be interested in. And so I started taking acting classes and I really enjoyed it. And I um kind of kept going, and that was actually throughout college. I was doing it, dabbling in that, and then one day when I was teaching school, teaching 8th grade, um, I was like, "This is not I can't keep doing this," and I wanted to get into acting, and, I thought, "You know what? I'm waiting tables already on the weekends," because I wasn't making much money being a teacher, sadly, teachers
Yeah.
are amazing,
And
and,
state school don't make that money.
I agreed, and so I thought, "You know what? I could sort of pursue this, keep waiting tables, probably work less time." Anyway, that's what I did. That was in Salt Lake, and, I sort of and that's where I got my SAG card. I worked on a Showtime series across David Strait there and I had one line, and it was, "Can I get you anything?" Which I had trained for my whole life. I was so good at that line, "Can I get you anything?" And
Everything
Chris
you've trained for
Acevedo.
has
Yeah,
come to this.
waiting tables. And, yeah, and then and I actually had worked as a fill-in traffic reporter randomly in college or right after. That was I always forget about that because it was something I found online. I thought, "Oh, and let me see if I could do that," and I got the job. And then I moved to Seattle from Salt Lake just to sort of I was changing my life, right? I was sort of making some transitions, have a lot of family up there. And my on-camera agent got me a voiceover audition for Nintendo Nintendogs, and this is
Ah,
back in 2005, if you remember that, and I was
I
like,
do.
"What? What is how? How do I where do I?" And so I phoned a friend, called somebody to find out where I could record this. I recorded it in this other friend of his, like, makeshift he had a studio apartment, he had a sort of a makeshift studio, and I did my thing, and, had to drive the CD over to my agent's office, right, to hand it in to there's no submitting online,
Yeah.
and, I thought, "Oh my god," and I was moving to LA 2 weeks later, and I thought, "Oh, that was so hard, so time consuming. Why did I don't and I'll never get it," and I booked it, and I thought, "Me are they did they really mean that? What happened? How?"
Yeah.
So, that was the first push from the universe. Then I moved to LA and did some on-camera work, for a little bit. My on-camera agent got me the audition for Star Wars: The Old Republic, so I went in for that, and I booked it, and even he said, "Marie, so remember that Star Wars thing? They want you to come in and read for that." And that's exactly what he said. And I said, does that mean I booked it?" He's like, "Yeah, you should probably get a voiceover agent." So, that's all how it started, and then after that, I learned that it's much harder. You don't book every single audition, and,
Oh, no, you don't.
I took a bunch of classes, and I've been taking classes ever since. That was probably 2008, and I that's when I really started doing that, and then in 2012, I stopped on camera, and I've only been doing voiceover ever since.
Oh, wow.
So,
Do
that
you
was
ever get the bug to go back to doing on camera? I
never.
know a lot of folks do it now. It's kind of
I know.
they're multifaceted people.
It's really
Uh,
funny. I even have some friends that have reached out and asked if I would be interested, and, "Hey," and I always say, "Look, probably not. Send me the script. If I'm not super passionate about it, you need somebody else. Like, this is your baby, you deserve somebody else." And
yeah.
it's just I don't know. It was literally I woke up I woke up one morning, and I'd been going through this crazy time in my life, and I'd really been coming to terms with a lot of things, and I woke up and I said, "I don't wanna do this anymore. I do not want to." And it wasn't like, "Well, I guess I'm not going to." No, it was, "I don't want to." And I'd always said, probably for a couple years prior, if I only ever did voiceover, I would be completely fulfilled and so happy because I can be whoever I wanna be, with my voice. I don't have to worry about what I look like or what other people think I should look like or be or who they think I should be, and it's so freeing. I love it. I feel the same still.
Well, that's good. A conversation I have frequently, or not even a conversation, a question that is asked of me is, 15 years in this business, do you still get that rush or that high when you're in a studio or if you're recording at home? Like, do you still get excited when you book something, or it's just like, oh yeah, so I booked that thing for that network, just gonna sit here and do some promos, ha ha ha. No, I get excited.
Yeah.
Um, because there are some days where the phone does not ring, the emails did not
Mhm.
chirp, and
Yep.
you're kind of like, okay, what are we doing for the next week? Because I don't have anything booked. So when that booking comes out of nowhere or that short list, it's like, so you're
Yeah.
saying there's a chance. So no, I get that. I still get that rush. And I was talking to my mom this morning. I say, hey, oh, well, we were texting because she sends me a positive message every morning. And I'm like, hey, how are
That's
you?
nice.
Get ready for a 4-hour session. I'll talk to you later. She's like, yeah, I guess it's time for you to go. She's retired. Well, I guess you got to go to work. I said, but you know what, though, mom? It's not work if you love it. And she's like, "Hmm, I guess you got a point. So it's work, but it's not like, woe is me. I have to go and sit in front of a
Oh my
microphone
gosh.
for 4 hours. I was excited, like, oh, I
Yep.
get to do this thing that I can't mention, and I'm
Yeah.
excited. So
It's true.
it
It's
really
the
is.
best, and I feel, and I'm sure you feel that share the same feeling, that I'm grateful for every I'm still grateful for every single thing, and sometimes I sit back and take a look at things. When I even watching that reel, I'm like, "Oh my god," you know? Sometimes you have to take a beat and think, "Whoa, like, I've been able to do some incredible things." I'm so grateful, because I get the opportunities. I know, grateful for my agents, grateful for where I'm at, all of it. It could change at any moment. There, like you said, there's ups and downs. I love it, and I enjoy the freedom that it brings. I enjoy that I can, for the most part, I can generally have some flexibility in my schedule, so it allows me to do things for my kids' school and things that I wanna do on my other side of my life other part of my life, so, yeah, it's the freaking best.
It truly is. I do not take it for granted, and you know, when you love something, is it really work? No,
Yeah,
I don't think so.
yeah, that's
Um, you're one of the few women that I know who uh do. I always have people ask me about probably one of the hardest areas to break into in VO, and that's trailers. Um, speaking personally, I'm still trying to break into trailers.
Yep.
Um, why do you think that particular niche is so difficult to get into? And then even more difficult because as we know in the promo world, there are ladies there, but there could be more. Why do
Yeah.
you feel that is in that genre in particular?
I mean, I think for trailers in particular, I mean, promo has certainly made a shift in the last few years. Um, but like you said, even so, not a complete shift. And but for trailers, I feel like the trailer houses are always just constantly turning things around. Everything is working so fast that I think the people that are doing all of that and that, are working so hard, all the producers and, editors and everything, they have their people that they know that they can rely on. That's one thing. I think that they're constantly, they've worked with these people before. They send them the stuff because it's always like, here, can you read this? Da, da, da. You get it back to me, I think there's a part of it is that just them just needing somebody and not having time to think about who that's gonna be. And I do think that there are some producers, and I've talked to them, so some of them, their kids go to school with my kids, and so we've had conversations, and some of them really want to do different things and want to make different creative decisions. And as far as a female trailer voice, particularly a trailer, because there's been more female in promo as of late, um, they just say oftentimes the studio, they wanna make these choices for because they're creative people, and often the studios are afraid. They're afraid of trying something new. They're afraid it's not gonna test well. I've heard that time and time again, but, when you think about testing, you think, first of all, when you're just talking to a regular person that's going in and doing a testing like this, all they've ever heard, all any of us have ever heard is a very specific voice doing trailers, right? For our whole
Mhm.
life,
Yeah.
especially in the US. One thing I've noticed is other countries for example, the UK will have more female voices on trailers.
Hmm.
So that's when I thought, "See, it can be that way." So I think there's a lot of things and a lot of barriers that just people need to get past and say, "Oh, I didn't really yeah, that actually worked, and I didn't actually notice that that was a female voice or that that was something different than the typical thing." And I do think there is something that has to, something to say for being able to have a certain tone of voice, male or female, to cut
Yeah.
through those boom, boom, all the stuff that happened to be in trailers when they did those edits, and I understand that, and, so, yeah, I mean, I don't know, what are your thoughts? And again, there's I feel like there's a few things going on there.
Well, you definitely have a voice that you have heft. I believe the word that people use often is gravitas. You have
Yeah.
this, I've listened to some of your spots, and it's like when we're just talking, I'm like, oh, that's Marie, and then you coming up, I'm like, whoa, where did that come from?
Oh my
Like,
god, yeah.
when did the bottom? I usually ask men this, but when did the bottom fall out for you? Like, did you always have a little bit of rasp or heaviness in your voice, or is that something that just came
Yeah,
from training, or like where that come
no, I think I've always I mean, as time has gone on, I mean, I can shift things, and I don't know if that's being a science teacher and having to have some authority in the room and, really kind of hold on to the attention and
Yeah.
of span of 14-year-olds or something, but I've always been able to and my mom's a s my dad's a musician, I should say this, my dad's a musician, my mom and he was a teacher too, but my mom, was also a speech pathologist. So I
Ah,
feel like between the 2, my dad always played music by ear, and we were always listening to music. He played the B3 Hammond, if you're familiar with the organ
yeah,
with it.
nice
So,
organ.
having that and we always would listen to things, and I definitely had a good grasp of listening for sounds and words and how things are spoken and said, and then, of course, my mom was, constantly correcting me. "It's not these ones, it's just these," correcting my grammar, and so I feel like been able to enunciate. I think that's part of it, right? Enunciate, and then
Yeah,
my voice, I think I just naturally have always had a lower register for a female, and then for sure, I've been able to intensify that, by just playing around and training and not even necessarily trying. I mean, I definitely when I took my first workshop with Richard Redfield, and the shift from promo to trailer is somewhat of a significant shift. I mean, if you're in the world, you probably don't think of it so much, but it's that flatness was super hard having to be like super da, 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 you know what I mean? You know how the
yeah,
trailers have that appeal to them. Um, but I've definitely had to pull and I've had a producer say to me once, which was super helpful. He mentioned that when I'm in the back of my throat, it comes across more airy and it can be more sensual, right? And that's, probably something I've done and just didn't realize, and when I'm in the front of my throat, I get that really sharp, harder hitting. So he's like, "When I'm editing and when we're doing this with the music," he's like, "Can you talk with the front of your mouth?" I thought,
wow.
that was really cool, yeah, and it made me stop and think about it, and now I can use that as a tool.
See, you never know where inspiration or uh, the having the right tool for the job comes in. Makes me think about a certain phrase that
I was just thinking that. I was like, "Is he gonna this is where he's going?" Because that's exactly what I was thinking.
yeah.
Yep.
Tell the folks what you're talking about there as I sip on this water.
We were in an incredible workshop together with just, like, some fantastic talent. It was really great to all be together and to feel like we were on, an even playing field, and that was really fun, right? Just to, like, play around together, work on trailers together. And anyway, I was working on something. I don't even remember what the spot was, but that doesn't matter. And Trey suggested a lead-in, which I'm a firm believer in lead-ins, and it was, "Hey, girl." And so that's what I did, and it just changed my read. And now
Yeah. So
and
the
now
read, it was for a promo, and it was for it was for some reality show,
"Hey,
and
girl."
the
Yeah.
yeah, and you were like, I can't get this. I said, well, think about when you're talking to your girlfriends. I said, most women can take the word girl,
Girl,
and
yeah.
depending on how she says it, it has five different meanings. You could be like, girl, girl, girl. And I was like, just find your hey girl read
Yep.
and put it in. And as soon as you had it, he was like, where has this been? And
I know,
yeah, it's one of those
and I
things. And
still think of that, and I still think of it when I'm doing certain things, right? I have certain lead-ins that I'll use depending on what it is that I'm doing, but I also think of it mostly whenever I see you or whenever your name comes up. It will always
because
be associated with Trey.
I mean, it's one of those lead-ins that's perfect. I do the male version. If I see something and I know it's if it's for sports, I won't say, "Hey, boy." I'll be like, "What's up, man? Coming up next,
Yep,
it's a"
yep.
yeah. So it's because it's relatable,
It
and
Mhm,
if you're
100%.
having a conversation with a person, if I'm talking to one of my boys, I'm like, "Hey, did y'all see the all new so and so coming up next?" It leads you right on into it. So
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
it's one of those things. Speaking of, um, and going back to, like you said, we were at this workshop and the playing field was very level. Um, talk about two things because they're going to both relate, and
Okay.
it's kind of interesting how they will connect, and you'll see what I mean. So at the workshop, you were the only lady representing for the
Mhm.
ladies. And then as a whole in VO in the promo and trailer arena, you're one of the few that have have buyers ears when it comes to booking this type of stuff. So how does that feel, number one, when you were at the workshop? Like, yeah, so one chick, bunch of guys, this is a disaster. Or, how did you feel being amongst knowing who your peers are? And it's like,
Mhm.
I'm the only lady here. All right, this is kind of cool. Let me show them what I got and rep for the ladies. And then just overall in the business, being one of the more successful ladies in the business, give us your take on how that works for you.
So kind of you to say it's yeah, that's one of those things where, again, taking a step back and looking at my own career and thinking, "Holy crap, this is what I get to do." So, first of all, that workshop, I was so honored to be able to be a part of it and to have received the invitation, and I knew I was one of the only females that received one, and then obviously, the only one that was able to make it. And I was nervous going in because all I could think of was, I'm new to this world, right? I've been able to work. I got to do the women talking campaign, and I think at that point I'd done polite society, and so I'd done some things, and obviously I'd done promo work for quite a while at that point, or a few years at that point. But I knew who I was up in the room with, and I knew the people that they're just known their names, or constantly associated with trailers, and I've heard their voices many times, and so I felt there was some, a little bit of intimidation, a little bit of, "Hey, I need to represent. I gotta go in there and represent," and feeling like, if I don't represent in the best possible way, what is that gonna do in general? Even when I'm getting a chance, when I was getting the opportunity to read for Polite Society, I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, if I mess this up, like, I'm messing it up for women in general, like, I want them to
Yeah.
know we can do it, you know? Give us the opportunity." But then as we started working on everything, everybody was feeling like, hey, everybody had questions, everybody was lifting each other up and supporting, everybody was working on things. Nobody we were, again, a level playing field, and it felt amazing, and I have to say, and I've said this before, I think I was brought this up in another, interview that I did, but it was I walked away feeling so good and supported by my male peers, which meant so much
Yeah.
because I'm still just, like, knocking on the door and then myself and others, I'm not the only one, but knocking on the door, like, give us a chance," and I felt like you guys were saying, "Yeah, yeah, let's give it to him. We want more of this." So, yeah. Anyway, that's how I felt about that class, and then, uh, there was another did I answer all the questions?
That
Just
was
the
yeah, that was part one, and then just overall, the feeling knowing that
Oh,
you're one of the top ladies out there doing it, and not just doing it, but doing it well and at a high
thank
level.
you. Thank you for saying that. I feel like I've worked really hard. I feel like one of the things that I can say is a strength is if I decide I want to do something, I kind of put my nose to the ground and just, like, shuffle around, figure it out. "What I gotta do this, I gotta do this," and then I kind of come up for air and see where I'm at, but I it feels when I've heard a handful of times when from different producers, from different people, when they'll bring up my name regarding women working in this business, and it feels like I've accomplished something, right? It feels like, "Oh my gosh, really? They knew who I am, they know that I'm doing this, and I am doing this, and they know my name when it comes through, or they know my voice maybe at trailer companies. Now they know because in the beginning, nobody knew Marie Westbrook in those trailer houses. So, but I've been working hard, and I feel like as a voiceover actor, part of the job, a huge part of the job, is our auditions, and
Oh yeah.
I would work so hard, um, on everything because all I wanted to do was just put something out there that they could hear that they at least were like, "Oh, yeah, this isn't gonna work for this, but okay." You know? Yeah,
Mhm.
and then they, over time, keep the consistency, and then you have people asking for you, which is nothing like seeing that request. "Hey, you have a
Oh, yeah.
request,"
You get a request.
Mhm.
That's a good thing. Absolutely, that's a good thing. It's almost as good as getting the booking. At least you know your chances are a little bit better because they wanted you first. It's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, yeah,
Totally.
I get you get to skip the line at Disney World and get on the roller coaster first. Okay, cool."
Yeah, totally. But in the trailer world, or in even probably partly even promos, but oftentimes I've had to learn there's not necessarily a, "Hey, you book this," right? You do the
Yeah.
scratch, and then you find out if they want more. You're like, "Okay, well, now I've learned that means that there's a good chance that I am," but sometimes I have to ask, "So did it finish?"
Yes, and because
You know?
I have done more scratches, than any person should be allowed by law, and I'm like, "Alright, this is gonna be great." And then you watch TV 3 days later, it's like, "Oh, guess I alright. What's for dinner?" Um, and you just have to move on. Speaking of moving on, video games,
Yes.
you know, it's well, I'm not speaking for myself. I have had to learn since I've been doing games in the past few years, when you are cemented into one particular genre and now you're getting opportunities for another one, and sometimes it's hard to shelve the other genre because the voice patterns, the voice tones, the acting is different.
Yeah.
Coming from the promo trailer narration world and then having to now take that hat off and go into acting in a video game or even in animation, how easy or difficult is the transition for you?
So, yeah, that's a great question. I I started out in video games, which is so I sort of had to go the other route where when I got to the point where I was training for promos, I remember the first time I had a class, with Jeff Hall, who's a friend, so it was nice because it was I remember thinking, whew, after I was done, like, "Whoa, that was a workout," because it's a different muscle,
Yeah.
and then I realized and then you fine-tune it, and I realized it's not so ha you just sort of get your cadence and your rhythm depending on the genre and everything. I definitely have noticed when I'm doing auditions, and I have a bunch, I try to bunch together the character work separate from the promo, reads and things like that, and the commercial work, because commercial now is a lot more, um, light, more pedestrian. So, I definitely it's one of those things, and I just had a big conversation with my agent about video games, and the conversation of, "Hey, I can do this with my voice, and I can sort of transition into a little bit higher and do this," and I've also had a producer, casting director tell me as well, "Hey, look, you have such a, unique register for most females. That's where we need you. It's cool if you can
Mm,
do it over here, but we need you there because there's not enough of you. So do your thing there." And my agent said, "I've been sending you these younger auditions, this and that, on purpose. Do your thing. You don't need to try to change. Do your thing there. It'll work." And so I've sort of obviously, though, it's very different to be doing unless I'm doing some sort of really militant, there's a
yeah.
little bit that can be handed over, but, um, I notice I do different things. I'm sitting in a chair right now, but if I'm doing, like, a character, like, or a really casual read, I put my foot up on this thing and, like, sit like this,
Ah,
or, like, I pretend like I'm shooting or fighting, I definitely bring in the acting into it, but I've noticed and talked to my agents about trying I have to kind of shake myself off and maybe do a couple reads
mhm.
if I'm going into a different genre to get back in. And obviously, in the promo trailer world, things come in all the time where you have to just hop back over. So, but I feel
Yes.
like it's easier for me to hop from character work into a promo trailer than it is to hop from a promo trailer into a character work. Not that it's hard, it's just that I have to make sure that I'm listening. Because at first it comes across like, "Oh, yeah, no, I'm acting," and then I listen again, I'm like, "No, I could be doing so much more," you know? "I'm not considering this, and I'm not considering this." So, I don't know if that makes sense, but
No,
that's
it makes perfect
that's
sense.
yeah,
I
and
had
then
to
commercial is different too.
yeah, commercials a whole
It's
that's a whole
changed.
different
That has
it
changed
has,
since
it
you and
really
I
has.
started.
You know, I too had a meeting with my agents, and that's one of the things that we were talking about, and, because you in this business, you can easily be pigeonholed as because of you having a certain type of voice that yeah for all the serious stuff we'll just call Marie because
Yeah,
if we want the badass biker chick military chick we'll just call Marie, but
yeah,
if there's a love story and you're like I can be lovely, I can be pleasant, you can
yeah,
still call Marie for that too. It's
yeah,
like you have to let people know that your toolbox carries many tools for a reason.
yeah,
So I get that because one thing I love about doing video games, and especially as of late, uh, some of the characters that I have been asked to be um, have been like there's this thing. It's a kids game, and I'm very upbeat and pleasant. Like,
yeah,
hey, and people go like, I didn't know he could do it. Well, I just need the opportunity to show you,
right.
and it's I
That
used
is
to
true.
really it used to really get in my craw like, "Ugh," because I always wanted to be like a baddie, a bad guy in a game, but then I'm like, I could be, a good guy too. I didn't want to just be compartmentalized like, yeah, save all the bad stuff for him. No.
Yeah.
I want to be somebody else. I can do
Oh
it.
my gosh, I love that voice.
So, I'm glad people are listening and are saying, "Hey,
Yeah,
let's give them a flyer on this and see what they can do." I would rather get the opportunity if I screw it up. All right, yeah,
yeah,
he wasn't cut out for it. But if I surprise you
yeah.
and I show you something and you like it, then let's talk. That's
Yeah,
all I'm saying.
I
Uh,
agree, and I think that, um, this is why are we with the same agency? We are, right?
could be.
We can talk Atlas?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I thought we were, I'm just making sure. That's something that I really love is that they have allowed me the opportunity to dabble in different areas when I say, "Hey," and at one point I said, "You know what? I would love to work in some documentary and narration," and I had been training with Tom Pinto and,
That's my
um
guy.
oh, he's the best, and, they sent some stuff my way, and I booked I've been able to book work and been able to audition in that realm, and I feel like they've given me the opportunity. They say, "Okay, you wanna do here we go. Let's try it out. Let's see how it goes."
Yeah.
And I know that not every agency is like that. So, but as far as casting goes, yeah, there's definitely I guess you can look at it as like, "Hey, if everyone's like, 'Oh my gosh, I can't not think of Trey for this part because that's just him.'" Sometimes there's something nice about that, but also there's also something nice about, hey, they can do a million things, like Mara Juno can do, she considers herself like the chameleon. She can
The
do, and
shapeshifter, yeah.
she gets to do the shapeshifter. That's what it is, the shapeshifter. And she does a million different things. And I love that. And I love that that's really important to her. And she's been able to kick ass at that and show everybody, hey, this is what I can do.
Oh, hell
Um,
yeah.
so, I mean, there's definitely pros and cons, I feel like. Well, I feel like in her world, it's not really any cons, but as far as that goes, but the pros and cons to being sort of only thought of as a certain type, right? Is the typecasting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the little ones, some of my VO friends with kids, they will humbly brag on their parents. Like, yeah, my dad does this, my mom does that. And then some is like, yeah, so do your kids talk about you? No, not really. Like, yeah, my dad does stuff on the mic, voiceover or something or rather.
Yeah.
That's great. Um, how about yours? Are they old enough to know? Well, I'm sure they're old enough to know what you do, but do they really like have a grasp on like my mom is the voice of that, or hey, that game you're playing? Well, guess who mom's on that game? Like,
Yeah.
how are they receptive to what you do?
They, I think the first time they got, well, especially my little guy, Landon, he got really excited about what I do, and it's sort of helped him grasp onto it was when I did that trailer for Lightyear. Because he
Oh
was
yeah.
super excited to see that, and he loves that movie. He wanted to watch that a million times, and I don't even know when he was watching it if he knew that my voice was in there. I actually went to his school and talked about it was, career week or career month, and I talked about doing
Yeah.
that, and I played it, and I remember at the end, the kids were so excited about voiceover, but I don't think they all understood exactly what it was. I think at the end, they were like, "Wait, your voice was in there? Where?" Like, "Was someone talking? I was someone talking in it, but I'm not the cat, and I'm not," So, I think a lot of the character work I do, they definitely have heard me on TV. They heard me in the Ahsoka spots, partly because I would get excited, like, "Oh my gosh," 'cause I'm so excited to get to do that campaign. Oh my god. And, so when a spot would come on, they would stop and say, "Shh, mommy, mommy, mom," mommy's voice.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
so they would get excited for me in those circumstances. But as far as games or some of the other character, like anime and things like that, I think it's too old for them. They don't know, but
Oh,
my nieces and nephews, they know, and they are very excited. My nieces and nephews, in fact, one of my nieces is the main reason I even went down the anime path because
really?
it's such a huge part of her world. She's on the spectrum and, has a hard time, and, that's the thing that matters to her. That's where
Yeah.
she sort of sinks into life in her world, and she wishes it was like that. So, I reached out to a casting director that I had worked with before and just said, "Hey, I know you work on a lot of these. I would love to audition if something comes your way." And that's when I got Jujutsu Kaisen, which has been the big one. Yeah. I got very lucky. And, you know what? I keep thinking to myself, "What if I never said anything? I could have I What if I didn't reach out? What if I so I taught
Right.
myself an important lesson there.
And look at you now. I mean,
Yeah,
because
and now
that
my nieces and nephews. Yeah, yeah. Now I have a Funko Pop. The world changes when you get a Funko Pop. I don't know if you
No!
I know,
Ah,
it's so funny. I would never if you would have said to me last year at this time something about Funko Pops, I would have had no idea what
so does this mean you'll be doing the con scene? You'll be doing
I've I've been
conventions?
doing the con scene, yeah. I've been doing it since well, August, last August, so not long.
So
But yeah,
what's that like to have someone, like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're here. You're the voice of here, sign this," or "Can I get a picture?"
yeah,
Like, what's that like knowing that you, literally can change someone's life or their perspective or whatever they're going through for the 30 minutes they see you on screen or that game that you're playing
yep.
and it's you. Like, how does that feel knowing you have, even if it's a little bit, the power to change, someone's life?
It is humbling, I would say. It's humbling when I'm at those conventions. At the end of the day, you're exhausted, like you've just run a marathon because each person that comes up to talk to me, I know that it's a new, they've never talked to me before. I might have been talking all day, right? That person is it's the first time meeting, talking to me, and I want to be able to engage with them the same way I engaged with the first person of the day. Because again, my niece, and now it's like my nieces and nephews, there's a bunch of them are super into anime, and I know how they feel about it. And I would want another voice actor to do the same for them, and I also feel like I want to talk to them. I remember one, young woman came up to me, and she was super nervous, and I think she said to me, "This is really hard for me," and she told me she was on the spectrum, and I said, "Don't worry." I said, "You're the people I wanna talk to. You're the reason I'm here. I wanna talk to you. Don't worry. Let what" and we talk about things, and of course, there's times well, I don't know what they're talking about. One kid was started talking about One Piece, and I hadn't seen it, and he just by the end, I said, "Oh my gosh, I definitely have to see it." He was so, super quiet, but then as soon as they talk about something they love, it's just like, "Oh my gosh, and da da da, and this happens, and this happens." So, it really is yeah, I feel like humbling is definitely the word. It's sort of a hard concept to grasp as I can imagine for most people, right? But coming from where I came from and just sort of being under the radar and then now having people want to come have talk to me, meet me, have me sign my name. I was joking with my siblings. I got to go do one Gem State Comic Con in Boise. So I had a lot of family there. I was like, did you ever imagine the day that people would pay me for me to write my name? No, they definitely didn't. Yeah.
Excuse me.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And then that like I said, that Funko Pop changed the game. That's when my Messenger blew up. When that Funko Pop was announced, my Messenger blew up with, like, people that wanted me to come here or con agents, and I did not know
Well,
those were
I'm
as big
putting
as
my
they are.
request in now, for a autographed Funko from the great Marie
Oh
Westbrook.
my gosh. All you have to do is ask. You know that you know that anything for you. Oh my gosh. Of
Yeah, because
course.
that will be very cool. I know you gotta run, so I got one more question for you,
Okay.
and then you can skedaddle. We always end the show asking our guests, when they are not doing fantastic VO work or whatever craft, in this business that they're doing, because we talk to more than just VO. We have casting folks on and directors
Oh,
and
awesome.
just folks
Yeah.
from other walks of life as well. But when you've taken all the hats off for the day, um, what does Marie Westbrook do to take time out for herself?
That is such a good question. I mean, right now, I'm sort of in that phase of life where things are busy and not about me most of the time because I've got the 2 littles. But at the end of the day, like taking a nice bath or just watching a show, like I've been watching oh my gosh. Now is it Palm Royale? That's right, right? Why all of a sudden am I forgetting? Palm Royale, the one with Kristen Wiig? It's so good. Apple
I'll
TV
have to
Plus is Palm
I'll
Royale.
check it out. I'll check it out.
Yeah, because it's about, yeah, Palm Beach, yeah. Um, it's only because I'm talking about it that now I'm questioning myself. So, doing something like that or, going out to dinner with my husband or with friends, going away, going out to the mountains. I love that. When we get to go out and just be in the mountains and skiing in the winter or the lake and hiking, I just love breathing in that fresh air. Those are the things. Those are the little things right now. I don't have a lot of time. There's definitely no video game playing. There's not even catching up on a lot of stuff. During the pandemic, I did watch the entire show, all of Shameless, every single season. That's how much
British
time.
version or UK I mean, American version or UK version? Because there's
I
2.
Shameless? I didn't know there was a UK
Yes.
version of that. Oh. No, yeah, I watched the American version. I didn't know
Yeah,
that, but I watched
yeah,
all of
but
it. I think it was 12 seasons. I mean, it took me a few months, but that was during the pandemic when we weren't out running around to this and to that.
yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think like the simple things, going to a concert. Those are the simple things that I enjoy doing, just having a minute to just sit down and have a glass of wine or something.
That's cool. Yeah, I like to disappear in here, uh, get on my keyboard and create music.
Ah,
My
I love that.
my beat machine and make beats. I am not a producer, but I'm getting there. Tell the folks how
But
they
you
can
will
find
be
you on the
someday.
socials. That's hey, I'll take that. How can
Yes.
we find you across the interwebs and the socials and all that
Yes.
good stuff?
So Instagram, Marie Westbrook VO. That's pretty much the main one that I'm on. I am not super savvy with the social media. Again, like I said, my days are so busy that even when I want to go do something on there, like I said, a happy birthday to Mara yesterday, and I wanted to do a thing in my story.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it all day, and I finally did it at night, and I know she gets it. But so Instagram is my main thing. I do have Twitter, but I'm not on there much. I think that one's Westbrook VO. So I would just stick to that one. I even have a TikTok, but when I was on there last, are you on TikTok?
I am.
I
But
just can't
I'm not under there as me. I'm under there for the show. So you'll see it as
oh,
Take Time.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's
But I'm
cool.
there.
Yeah, I'm there,
Yeah.
sort of.
We will find you.
Yes,
I know you
yes.
gotta run, but
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for hopping on
Thank you for
with us.
having me.
And oh, absolutely. I was like, I gotta get my girl on here. So
Yes. I love that.
I'm glad we did. And the door's always open. Hey, next time we can talk a little longer. But I'm not gonna hold you as we say. Thank you all for watching. This has been the great Marie Westbrook.
Thank you.
I am your host, Tre Mosley, and we are gone. Now go and take some time out for yourself. See you next time. Thanks for listening to the Take Time Out with Tre Mosley podcast, part of the Titan Media Network. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts. To see the video version of this, you can find us on YouTube on the Take Time Out with Tre Mosley YouTube page. Thanks for listening, or thanks for watching. Either way, we'll see you next time.